Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for X-Men Issue 7, 2024. Gnarly there, with Cyclops taking on that giant, Sentinel and everything. And we get that in here. So, let us start off. The Summers family lodge outside of Merle, Alaska. The Iron Knight, as we see Cyclops drinking. It's like, ah shit, this isn't good. X months ago. I thought that Cyclops always had a plan. Tell me, what step toward victory is this, Scott? The one where I try to imagine just what exactly victory might look like. It's been forgotten. What looks might look like. I've forgotten. It's been so long. Everything I've worked for over the last couple of years, that I bled for, died for, it's gone. I totally get you on that feeling, Scott. Even Jean's gone, out in space, where she has to be, so tell me. Do you see any victories lying around, Magneto? Because maybe I missed them. I've got this thing with my eyes. As we see, that's a really cool shot of Magneto just levitating there. It's like, shit. The factory now. What do you think about Piper Cobb, I mean? Excuse me? I'm sorry, I was lost in thought. Her bringing up the Iron Knight, it brought it all back for me. I'm sorry, of course it would. Well, will it hurt, the mutant test? Not in the slightest, Miss Cobb. Require only a single hair from your head with which to test your DNA for the X gene. Oh, okay, out. Here you go, Dr. McCoy. It's that easy? Well, not normally, no. But we are particularly well equipped here at the factory. As we see that Cyclops and Magneto are kind of conferring outside of the room as we get them inside. And I do like when certain kind of panels bleed into each other, kind of like that. We have the last remaining Cerebro, of course, but this was also once a Sentinel factory, and detecting mutants has ever been their specialty. It's like, shit. We shift back over to the Iron Knight. This is Logan behavior, Scott. Well, everyone likes him. Shit. Not wrong there. Our people are in crisis, and they look to Cyclops. You were chosen as a boy, anointed for leadership. Has a point. Logan is effectively immortal. He has the luxury of time to wallow in his feelings. True. You do not. That is your strength. You have always moved forward because you have a mission and an all too finite lifespan within which to accomplish it. I didn't ask to be made into a teenage warlord to have that be the tenor of my entire life. Of course you didn't. I never asked to be sent to the camp, Scott. I never asked to be hunted for what I am, be it Jew or mutant. It's like, this is kind of crazy. Like, normally I've had Magneto presented as like this complete and utter dickhead. Like, he has certain valid kind of points, but he's making sense here, and it's really interesting to have Magneto being that one to talk Scott out of this low point, and that's kind of cool to get these kind of character interactions like this. But the world doesn't wait for us to ask before it inflicts horrors upon us. True. All we can do is spite it by surviving or die, and I'm like, yep, I get that there, Magneto. Sometimes you gotta, like, build up to get to that kind of spite level, though. What will it be, Cyclops? I'm like, that's a shirt there. And then I love that we get a pause beat panel, and then he's like, okay, you win. You want a beer? I suppose so. It's some of the store brand. You'll love it. It's terrible. That's what everybody says. So I'm like, yeah. So, to me, my X-Men, huh? We need X-Men now more than ever. I guess I always knew that. After all, I spent the last 2 weeks looking at that hideous place. I'm like, yeah, there always needs to be X-Men. Even in times of peace. Hungry? Oh man, I'm always hungry now. Then you're in luck. Glob made quiche, and I'll bet it's even still warm. And if it isn't, then we can do something about that. Thank you, Glob. Yeah, thanks, Glob. You're welcome. As we got our quiche on and everything. This was ill-considered, Edie. Mutant or not, the girl is welcome here. That's not an issue, but your actions have put us in danger. And as we see Psylocke getting her kind of coffee and everything, and she makes a very valid point here. She could be a mutant, Psylocke. She could be one of us, and she needed help. That's what the X-Men do. Correct. But you didn't bring this to the X-Men, did you? You convinced Magic to go along with your scheme and just did it. This is what the X-Men do, but the X-Men are a team. You need to start acting like you're on this team. Now, Edie looks pissed, but Psylocke makes a very strong point. Like, I understand that there's time sensitivity to the issue, and you're like, we don't need to, like, back and forth this shit. But the thing is, sometimes when you back and forth some shit, you get a better way of going about something. Back to the Iron Knight. You spent 2 weeks drinking terrible beer and staring at a Sentinel factory? God, no wonder you're depressed. It's like, yes! Okay. Magneto's like, alright, that'll fucking do it to you. This lodge has been in my family for decades. There's a lot of good memories here. And now even that's gone since they built that factory. Because even here, a place that I once loved, I'm confronted with cruel truths about the world and our place in it. I understand that, Scott. Looked at that way, I suppose, but that factory was shut down. It will never build another Sentinel, while you and I still live to fight, as we see Magneto levitate a crushed can and pop it back to normal. Which is kind of cool. I like how we've got normal paneling, and then just a panel to focus on it crushed, and then coming back to regular. Look at it not as a constant insult, but as the skull of your enemy set out on a stake as a warning. God, you have some fucking ways with words and ways to think of things, Magneto. Shit, I mean, that's a way to think of it. Max, the Avengers trashed the factory, not us. Do not pick apart my rhetoric, young man, and give me another of your terrible beers. I knew you'd warm up to them. It's the faint taste of dog. Crash. What was that? It's like, shit. Let me see. No, it can't be. It's huge. A wild sentinel, and it's headed for town. I love this. We see them back coming out from there, but then we get almost a full page of the sentinel busting out. There's like, shit. And I really like that, because you get the coloring of the sentinel, and we get the faded kind of color in here, just like more kind of black and white kind of shit. A wild sentinel? Yes, an autonomous weapons system. A wild sentinel's core can build itself a chassis from surrounding material. Very horrifying. After the Avengers decommissioned the factory in the fight with Orcus, there must have been a stray core left over. Always watch out for that shit, as we see Edie and Piper walking around the factory. Oh, wow. So it was like a zombie sentinel? Sure, that's a pretty good way of looking at it. Yeah, I could see that. It walked from the factory to the town like it was Frankenstein, like a monster, or no, it was a monster. Yes, it's a machine built for killing mutants. And I knew it was coming from me. I know what that's like. See, Generation Hope, issue 11. Tom, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool for me to understand that about Edie, because I don't know that much about Edie. John Cassaday tribute. Why the town? Why hasn't it come for us? Maybe there are mutants in the town. Maybe they don't know they're mutants. Doesn't matter. You came here looking for next man, Magneto? You just found one. Then let us fly. And that's like, yeah, that's fucking badass, as we get panel, and then Magneto being like, let's fly, as he pretty much just picks up a car and Scott surfs on its ass. But I just really love that Scott pose there. Should have burned that factory to the ground. Damn wild Sentinel tech plan, Cyclops. Wild Sentinels are more adaptable than baseline models. I'd estimate I can hit it 3 times before it adapts countermeasures to my optic blast, but I've trashed more Sentinels than most. If you can give me an opening, I can kill it in 1. Whatever it's doing, it's going through Merle to do it. We need to stop it in its tracks. And I really like how this is kind of a diagonal kind of page, and then we focus on Scott's face as he's pretty much explaining what he needs to do, and then focusing on the town as it's like, shit, that Sentinel's coming for shit. What is it? It's a Sentinel. Why is it coming for us? Oh, okay. It's alright if it's going for other people, but why is it coming for us? Get somewhere safe. We've got this. Who? Wait, we're the X-Men. And I love that pose. They're like, and then it's like, yeah, Scott and Magneto doing shit. Motherfucker. You'll get 3 blasts, you say. How many do you need? If I have a clear shot at its AI core, 1. Then you shall have it. Don't miss. As we then see him turn the car into a fucking, spike and toss it into the Sentinel. As we get the chink. I love that. That's a really cool looking one there. There's no place in this world for you anymore. Exactly. You are a relic, a remnant, as we see it being like, it's like, holy fucking shit. I love how it takes up most of the page. A monument to hatred, to fear. But I do not hate or fear stronger than you should be. As he's pretty much trying to, crack it. It's like, what the fuck? But then he utilizes his powers and rips at it. And he's like, there. As he then blasts at it. It's like, yeah, Cyclops. And it's like, choom. It's like, fuck you. Then we also get X-Mentions. And they're new this time around, so check them out. Pretty much giving us a lowdown on Larkin Wolverine 1, X-Men Issue 8, Radon Grey Malkin, Time Slide Issue 1, and what's kind of going on, and giving you your kind of checklist for your X-Men stuff. So then we see the Sentinel pretty much going down. It's like, yeah, of course, fuck boy. One shot, I told you, you did. Let's talk roster. I've got some thoughts on who to get in touch with. And do you still have that weird island base? What? Max, what are you doing? Stop it! It's like, ah shit, it's like weird island base. Interesting. But then we see, Magneto, what is this? I can't control my power, as Magneto is like going nuts. This is crazy. And I love the use of purple there. And Magneto's like, I can't control my power. He's like, what the fuck? And then we get what the big problem is. Yes, it's taken us 7 issues, but I like that we finally learned this and understand what the problem is. You had to knock me out with an optic blast, but no one was hurt. And no one saw what had become of me. My dignity remained intact at the very least. RLDs. Resurrection-linked degenerative sickness. As it turned out, there was a price to be paid for cheating death. A flaw in the diamond that was Krakoan resurrection. I kind of like having this downside. But it's like, okay, Magneto, we get through this, and Magneto had only had it done once. Scott's had it multiple times, and we are seeing those effects. We don't know that for sure. Hank is trying to get to the bottom of it. He'll figure it out. The weakening of my body is one thing, but losing control of my powers, yeah, that's the scary thing. I'm just the first of us affected, and I was only resurrected by the 5 once. How many times were you resurrected, Scott? How many times was Quentin Quire? Yeah. What will you do when an Omega-level telepath loses control of his powers? Yeah, that is definitely one to have a Scott face on to kind of think about on that. The results are in. Piper Cobb, you are 100% Homo sapiens sapiens. Which is to say you are a human being and not a mutant. What? No, that can't be right. I'm so hungry all the time and cramps and pains. I thought, I was sure. It's like, oh shit. But the thing is, even though we're thinking that's like, oh, she's going through puberty and everything like that, that is not the complete case. It's alright. Now you know the Sentinel wasn't after you. So what? What do I do now? Eliana and I will take you home. You will wake your mother up. Things can go back to normal. Nothing is normal in my house, Edie. I know. There is little I can do about your mother, except for this. When she next brings you to a protest, I will be where you first saw me. And then I will smile just for you, and you'll know that you have a friend. And I love that about Edie. I don't know that much about her, but seeing her face and talking about it like that, it just really is kind of cool. Later. Going to be up all night taking a nap like that. I hope you sleep well at least. I will, Mom. Big day and all. Love you, kid. 100% Homo sapiens sapiens. 100%. As we see her pretty much going to sleep. But then we see that her hand changes. Then changes back. So, something's going on there. Either Hank wasn't able to figure out exactly what's going on, or her mutation is in some kind of state of flux that she has not come up to her full mutant potential yet. Like, she was probably could potentially have been in a shifting kind of base, and that's what set off the Sentinel, and then would not be able to set off the Cerebro and the other kind of stuff at the plant. We'll have to see. We also get X-Mail before we get our little setup here to what I believe is going on with the Radon Grey Malkin. Next morning. Quentin, I have lunch planned with the Chief of Police. I do not have time to argue with you. You simply are not allowed to strip my Quinjet for parts to feed to the Marauder. Obsolete. That is a Mark I Quinjet, you Philistine. A classic. I'm like, yeah, listen, I am fine. I know that Beast went kind of crazy ass in Krakoa, but I love that he's like, no, you will not fucking feed my good ass shit to that thing, you motherfucker. But then we see somebody bags his ass. He's like, hunk of junk, more like McCoy. As we see a person in the diner pop back out to be like, what the fuck happened there? So somebody has taken Beast. Next, with one of their own incarcerated, the X-Men move on Grey Malkin prison in order to free their teammate. But it's not just one team. In Alaska, Cyclops' X-Men scramble to a rescue mission, while in Louisiana, Rogue's X-Men move to strike out on their own sortie. Doctrinal rivals with their own objective. Will these two fractious teams find themselves at cross purposes? After all, a nexus made a two lines crossing. It's like, oh shit. So, I actually really enjoyed how kind of dense this was, showing us what was kind of going on the Iron Knight, Cyclops being really low down, and being like, where are the victories? I'm kind of fucked here. Like, seriously, Magneto. And Magneto being able to kind of pep talk him in his own kind of ways. Like, being like, yeah, life will do completely and utterly horrendous shit to you. I mean, I've been hunted. Sometimes you just gotta spite the motherfucker or die. Also, view the Sentinel Factory as like a skull on your mantle. It's like, alright, alright. Even though the Avengers did it, he's like, don't pick apart my shit and give me more of that shitty ass beer. Before it kind of goes at the town and gives us a link to the understanding of what else is going on. The regenerative disease that Krakoan's resurrection protocols have made it so that mutants will lose control of their powers. It's like, oh god, that's a big one. I love Psylocke calling out Edie for being like, you got magic to do this and not consult the X-Men. If you're going to be on the team, act like you're on the team. We'll help out. We'll be able to do things in a timely enough manner and figure out what's kind of going on. Like, it was a good call out there. And then also finding out that, like, McCoy wasn't able to factor in that Piper is actually a mutant, because we see her kind of, like, doing a kind of crazy-ass thing. Transformation at the end, while McCoy gets fucking grabbed. It's like, this was a really good issue. A lot happened that didn't feel over busy. It felt nice and cool to, like, kind of go through all this and learn all this and see Scott in action and get him back up and how he's able to take out a wild Sentinel in a single shot. Magneto's powers in action. It was just awesome, and I cannot wait to see what kind of goes on next and how the crossovers of Rogue's X-Men and Cyclops' X-Men will go. So those are my opinions on the issue. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.